Hello, everyone. Welcome to this creative conversation. My name is Laura Khalil. I'm the founder of Brave by Design. And each week I come to you with a luminary who works in marketing, design, and innovation to talk about a burning topic to help propel your business forward. This week, I am so excited for you to meet my friend and colleague, Kathryn McGarvey. She is here to talk with us all about cold outreach. Kathryn, welcome to the show. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Laura. As you can probably tell by my accent, I'm not from your parts. I'm based out in New Zealand. So it's morning time here, and I think it's nighttime where you are yesterday.
It's yesterday here, and it's tomorrow there.
I help small businesses get more clients and or get more time up their sleeve or more money, whichever rings their bells. And Laura and I have known each other for about 6 months, and it's been a delight getting to know you.
We have had so much fun. Kathryn and I actually want to point something out to the audience, because Kathryn and I do very similar work, but we are not competitors because, one, we work in very different target markets, and the people that we focus and how we help comes with our unique sets of experience, which is different. And I bring this up because so often people are scared to collaborate with people who are in their field. And I have to tell them, you have nothing to be afraid of. If you are very clear, as you know, Kathryn, on your ideal client, on your target market, and on your niche, you're often in a category of one. What do you think?
I absolutely, completely agree. I sometimes are asked who my competition are, and I say, quite honestly, I don't feel like I have any competition. There are some people across the road from me who do the exact same, not the exact same thing, but do similar things to what I do. And I don't think of them as competition. We meet for a coffee every now and again because they have a completely different target market. Yeah. They have a different style. They have completely different personalities. And I quite often send people their way if I don't feel like I'm going to do my best work with this client, or that they could do a better job. And the same thing happens
exactly.
in reverse. But yeah, they're not my competitors.
I want to encourage everyone listening to begin to think about people in your field who do things slightly in the domain, but maybe slightly different than you, as potentially your greatest source of referral partners. Because often the people they don't want to work with might be your ideal client, and vice versa, to your point. It's incredible.
Yeah. It feels nice too, sending work other people's way.
I know. Doesn't it feel great? I mean, everyone makes money. It's just an awesome experience when we can help one another out and strengthen our own entrepreneurial communities. So, Kathryn, one of the reasons we decided to do this creative conversation is because of our mutual distaste for cold outreach, bad cold outreach. And you messaged me on LinkedIn and you said, I have an entire file folder of saved bad cold outreach. And I said, we got to talk about this. What?
I've got a little folder in my email called WNTD, What Not to Do. And it's really handy having a resource to show people this isn't how you don't do it. But actually,
it's brilliant.
It's a very useful resource.
Yeah. WNTD. I love it. Okay, so we thought we would start by showing some examples of what not to do or talking about them. Kathryn, do you have one you'd like to share?
I do. Let me bring it up. So this is an email I got, a series of emails I got last year, unsolicited. I'll just share my screen.
Okay.
So you can see I got the first one. Oh, it was this year. Feels like these years are going either too slow or too fast. I can't keep track. But I got an email from this guy with the title keyword super duper.
Okay.
And as you can see, he'd actually found a link on my page to a blog post with an outbound link to a Moz story. And he wanted me to add one of his links with his super duper SEO minion keyword hack. I wasn't particularly interested. Yeah. I wasn't
My
interested.
super, what the hell does that even mean?
Well, yeah, there you go. Be clear when you're doing outreach and what you're actually talking about. I wasn't interested. Like many people, I get cold outreach emails all the time, so I just ignored it.
Wait,
And
can we stop? Can we wait? Hang on a second,
Yeah.
because I want to really dissect this. He says, "Hello, Kathryn. Hard to imagine a great guide like this doesn't have an actual checklist." Here's what I don't like about that. He's starting off by like almost like insulting you. like we're Fraser, if you are listening to this, don't do that. Don't start off by insulting the very person you're trying to do business with. Okay, you linked from your page, he links to it, to this keyword checklist page. Then he says, "Good news, I made an HAREFS check." I don't even know what that is.
That's an SEO thing.
Okay. I'm concerned about it because I'm a marketer. I've been a marketer for a number of years. I don't do SEO, but I have literally that jargon. Like, does he expect you to know what that jargon is? That
Again, you need to be clear. Keep your language simple.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't even know what he's talking about. Huge time saver. Email me back. Okay, it's like almost like a demand letter at this time. Email me back and I'll send it over along with my super duper SEO minion keyword hack. I don't know what that means. I also don't think we figured out, just reading this, to generate hundreds of topics with traffic. Like, what? Like, what are we doing here? I don't know. What did you think when you read this? What did you, like, did you understand what he did? Because I'm really confused.
What I thought, Laura, was here's one for my what not to do file. And actually, I've just noticed in that line, email me back and I'll send you my super duper keyword hack to generate top hundreds of topics. And if there's one thing that's going to turn me really off you, it's poor spelling and grammar, which I know is a bit harsh, but it says unprofessional to me and somebody who's not bothered to proofread.
Right, absolutely. So you get this. I presume you do not respond.
That would be a correct assumption.
Okay,
so,
what happens next?
6 days later, as you can see from my screen, it's still the same subject line in the email. And then the insults get piled on. Hello, Kathryn. With a subject line like that, I can't believe you didn't reply last time. I made the checklist and the hack, all yours. Here comes an order again. Email me back and I'll send them over.
What? You know, it's so, what beyond just, I don't know what is up with that first line, but I still don't understand what he does or why it would benefit you. I don't get it.
I think if I'm being generous to him, I think he thinks he's doing me a favor by offering an additional resource that I can link to that will help my readers. Maybe, but I don't buy it.
Okay, Kathryn, maybe I'm missing something here. I literally do not understand his use of the word minion. Is that like not Australian? Is that a New Zealand jargon, language, slang or something?
No, a minion to us is the same as it is to you, either a little person or in that movie.
Okay, Don't get it. Okay, great. Uh,
And
So
then the
he's-
last one, you're going to love the last one.
uh-oh.
4 days later. Okay, so maybe you're not a fan of AREFs or silly subject line, grumpy face emoji. Surely a hack that takes 10 minutes and generates hundreds of topics with traffic must tickle your fancy. Tickle your reply button and I'll send it over.
Kathryn, I don't
Now,
know if he's asking for a date or if he's trying to send you business. I mean, tickle your reply. Like, this is getting a little kinky here, Fraser. I mean, what?
now you're probably like me, Laura, and you tell people to be themselves and to have some personality so that they can, people respond to people. If you're talking in a bland, generic voice, you're not going to attract anybody. I guess this is a perfect explanation that if you talk in your own voice and the audience isn't receptive, you're repellent.
Right.
And I actually really believe in being repellent, and that being repellent can be a marketing advantage, but perhaps not with cold outreach.
Right. I mean, right. We don't want to repel in the cold outreach, initial emails. I mean, Fraser, God bless him. I don't even know that he's a real person. I'm beginning to think he's like a computer, but that was given sort of like some word salad and said, okay, make these words into sentences. But anyway, it reminds me, Kathryn, I'm going to be honest, of like when a woman goes on a date and, someone approaches her at a bar or goes out, someone approaches her at a bar, at a restaurant, out on the street, and she says, no, thank you. Fraser keeps coming. Fraser's not done. Fraser, let me try again. Maybe
Fraser's not picking up the cues.
He's not picking up the cues. He hasn't read the room. He's using jargon that we don't understand. It's really just kind of off-putting. So this is a great example. Thank you for sharing this with us.
You're very welcome.
By the way, did you ever respond to him? Did you ever say, hey, buddy, pump your brakes?
I think I might have. I've taken to, when I'm a little bit short-tempered and short on time, I just reply to emails like this now in capital letters and say, stop.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm a little bit ruder. Actually, I wonder if I should quickly, there was one other I got that was similar.
Okay.
I think I can bring it up really quickly, but just for background, I'm a marketer in New Zealand who helps small businesses with their marketing.
I'm scared.
So I got this through my website from Virginia.
There's no
the
doubt
name
that
Virginia, not necessarily from Virginia.
Right.
Hi there. There's no doubt that getting a higher education has its benefits in the job world, but for many, the debt that comes with a college education is too prohibitive. With talk of student loan forgiveness in the news, I thought it'd be a great time to address what options are available right now to help those who are considering college minimize long-term debt. Can I write an article on the topic for your website? My website that's about marketing. So I actually did reply
in
to
New
her.
Zealand.
Yeah.
Which I doubt that's the news cycle there.
No, you'd be 100% correct there, Laura. So I replied and said, can you please explain how you think your article would be the slightest bit relevant to my audience?
Oh, God.
And she actually came back and said, thanks for getting back to me and being open to this idea.
What?
Oh, Virginia, you've got that one wrong.
I don't have any details yet of the article's content. Oh, Lord. As I still need to do some research. Well, maybe that should have happened before you did your cold outreach, but I'm open to suggestions to make the piece fit with your website. Here, beyond this being obviously terribly targeted, again, I don't think Virginia Cooper is a real person. I don't think these are real people, but anyway, what I don't like about this is making you do more work. I am open to suggestions to make the piece fit. Well, why should you suggest it? Why? There's nothing, there's no reason you should do that work, especially even if it were well targeted so early on. It feels like a big ask.
Well, I think you highlighted in your initial response probably the golden rule of cold outreach when you said, you know, I still need to do some research. Maybe she should have done some research first. 100% she's anybody, why can't I say research? Anybody doing cold outreach should do the barest, most basic of research first. I used to build websites, and the number of emails that I'd get saying, hey, do you want me to build your website? Or even more insultingly, fix your website.
That's like a personal attack, Kathryn.
Yeah.
That's like, they're really coming after you. Thank you for sharing these. Those are, I want to say they're great. They're not, they're annoying and frustrating, but they're great examples of what not to do. And I think, I would guess this is similar with your clients, because with my clients, they have such a high degree of personal integrity towards themselves and towards what they do that we look at examples like that and we say, oh my gosh, is this how I would be received? But if I sent cold outreach, and I have to say, you're not like that person. I think it would be a rare case if you did the research that you would be so poorly targeting people, but it gives cold outreach a bad name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to share one. I got this in this morning. Hang on one second. And this will be quick, but all right, here we go. This is one that I got. Laura, I hope you're well. I'm writing this to find your interest in our service proposal. When I saw that, I thought, did they send me a proposal for your capital B business? We're an IT-based company from the USA. Well, I have to tip everyone off. If you're not from the quote unquote USA, we never call the United States the USA. Never. That's a clear tip off. You're not from the USA. That deals
What do you
in
call it?
The States, the US. Nobody says USA. Kathryn, don't say, in your cold outreach to Americans, Kathryn, never say USA.
Thank you for that tip.
Yeah. So from the US, from the States, that deals in vulnerability in finding organization, infrastructure, websites, mobile app, applicable governance, risk, and compliance validation with the assistance of our cybersecurity. Okay. So apart from the fact that I actually really do not need those services whatsoever, that's a lot of jargon in the email. It is totally untargeted. If you require more details, we can schedule a meeting. I actually don't require more details. We don't need to waste each other's time. What I found interesting is this person spent an in-mail credit to send this to me. And I could not believe it.
Did that not make you feel special?
Oh, very special, very special. I mean, I should thank him. I should reply and say, thank you for spending a LinkedIn in-mail credit on me. But this is the kind of stuff that I just feel like when we do research, when we know our target market, we're not making those kinds of mistakes. Yeah. And that's a big mistake. And if you're doing that mistake that person made at scale, that's also a really expensive mistake. That costs money. So Kathryn, what do you advise your clients when they're thinking about finding new clients and considering the prospect of doing cold outreach?
Most of them are terrified at the thought, and I guess we're quite lucky in New Zealand. We either know everybody or know somebody who knows somebody or knows somebody who knows somebody or knows somebody. Oh. So it's probably easier for us to get introductions than it might be for you. And especially if you're using LinkedIn and you can see, you know, the second and third degree connections. But every now and again, you do have to do cold outreach. Again, we're lucky, especially my clients, I'm in quite a small town, and it's really easy to knock on somebody's door and say, can I take you for a coffee? But if you're going to be, yeah,
I want to move. You're like the tourism ambassador for New Zealand. I want to go there and just start knocking on doors. Just, hey, let's chat. What do you do?
I mean, I'm sure not everybody's responsive to that, but it's not necessary. Like in my town, there's 5 good coffee shops. So if you want to do business, hang out at one of the 5 good coffee shops and be seen, and you can get to meet people that way. But that aside, any type of cold outreach, you need to do your research first. You need to think about what is the value to the person. You know, why should they take 5 minutes out of their life to listen to you or to read what you have to say?
Yeah.
So people connect with people. So be real, be genuine. But your message that you just showed made me laugh when the first thing it said was, we hope you are well. And then it jumped in to their sales message. Mm-hmm. I get on LinkedIn in particular, you get those messages that I don't know whether somebody's just devised a template or they've bought a template, and it's almost like, dear prospect name, insert compliment here.
Right.
Insert second compliment, then, you know, they're really templatized and it's quite obvious to see. There's one guy that reached out to me on LinkedIn about a year ago, and I go back to his message every time I want to connect with somebody that I don't have any connections to, because he did such a lovely, genuine job of it. And every time I look back, yeah.
Okay, Kathryn, if we were to dissect his message, what did he do correctly?
It was really simple. There was no sense that he was trying to sell me anything. It said something like, hi, Kathryn, I see we have a couple of connections in common. We seem to move in the same kind of circles. Would love to connect with you here on LinkedIn. So that was the initial connection request. Mm-hmm. And it was a guy in Australia, and we did have quite a few common connections.
Okay.
And then I connected, and he did such a good job of getting me on his mailing list. He just said something like, hey, I don't know if it's of interest or not, but I have this resource, which I don't even remember what it was. Mm-hmm. If you're interested, let me know. I'd be happy to send you a copy. And it was really nicely done.
I love it.
In fact, I asked our mutual friend, Matthew Kimberley, last week about getting lead magnets and getting people on your mailing list. And I said, but how do he was encouraging me to ask more people on a one-on-one basis rather than just online. And I said, how do I do that though, without being a dick or feeling like a dick? Mm-hmm. And what he said echoes what you said 5 or so minutes ago, that he said, if you're the kind of person that needs to ask, how do I do it without being a dick? You're the kind of person who you're not going to be.
You're not.
Sorry, I think that's not an appropriate use of the
word
dick
okay.
on your.
Keep saying it, Kathryn.
Well, so you can laugh at my accent.
No, I love it. I love that. It's exactly, if you actually have empathy and are concerned for the other person's experience, you're most likely not the problem. You know, I want to just something I was thinking about that sparked for me as you were talking. It's interesting when you said he didn't try to sell me. He just said, hey, I think we have some shared connections, would love to be in touch. There was no hint of a sale in the initial email or initial outreach. What I think is really important for people to remember is that you may look at a person who's in your target market and they may appear like they match your target market. Right? They may be like, okay, cool. I work in healthcare. They're in the healthcare industry, or I work with creatives. They're in the creative industry. Great. But you actually don't know if they're an ideal client. You don't know if they pass your red velvet rope policy. So as you were talking, I was thinking, you know, it is wise as business owners when we do this cold outreach to be very discerning about, after you've done the initial outreach and connected, do they meet your requirements to get beyond your red velvet rope policy? And for those who don't know what the red velvet rope policy is, that's like who gets into your club. What are the traits, qualities, and characteristics of the type of people you love to work with? And I'll tell you, for example, there was someone who I reached out to a few months ago, and did cold outreach, because I do cold outreach. Did cold outreach, reached out, we got kind of past, you know, connected. Nice guy. And he started to post a lot about his political leanings on LinkedIn. And I just don't think LinkedIn is the place I want to be talking about politics. It's just, you know, I just want to keep it off there personally. And this really soured me. And I thought, he doesn't get into the club. I don't want to do further outreach. I don't want to further try to nurture the relationship because he's not an ideal client. And so I respect people's differences of opinion, but I'm going to leave it there. And I think most people aren't that discerning. So talk to us more about how you see that, Kathryn.
Well, funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking the exact same thing. And I've got a secret hack for when I get new clients, remembering, or new people coming through my door or knocking on the door, remembering that I'm from quite a small town. There is a local community Facebook group here, and I'm sure you have similar ones over there, where people post lovely things, but also people post things like car parked in 2 spaces at the supermarket and everybody wishes death on them. And my top tip for when you have people come into your orbit is check what they're posting on Facebook. And while, like, I've found people that are lovely face to face and I really like them, and then I see them wishing death on somebody because they've just taken 2 parks in the supermarket. And I know people's behavior behind a keyboard is much different to that in real life, but my red velvet rope policy is learning about the red velvet rope policy and implementing it in my business has probably made the single biggest difference to my happiness, and that I love coming to work every single day because everybody I work with is amazing. So the more tips you can get to get those people who won't be quite as incredible out of your life, really useful.
I love that. I love that. And I just want to say, for those who are thinking, well, is it really fair of me to work with someone just because I disagree with them on something? It depends for you. It depends what's okay and not okay for you. And, you know, Kathryn and I come from, I know, a similar school of thought, which is that you deserve to love your business because it's one of the most important relationships you'll have in your life, is that with your business and your clients. And so if there are things you really despise or turn you off or are distasteful to you, why would you let them into your club? It's just not for you. It's not a judgment on that person. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means they're not for you.
Laura, you've probably had, you know, when your phone rings and you look and you think, oh, can't face them right now. Oh. I don't have those moments since implementing my red velvet rope, and it's amazing. It's great.
It's amazing. Oh, Kathryn, it has been such a pleasure to have you here. I wish we could talk. I wish we could have these communiques from the past and future all the time. I find them really, it's just such a pleasure to have you. Tell the audience, for those who want to learn more about you and get involved, where do we send them?
Come say hi on LinkedIn. I'll look at your connection request with interest. Or you can log on to my website, jump on, it's Kathryn, Kathryn, McGarvey, McGarvey.com, and sign up for my mailing list. People really like it. I have a really low unsubscribe rate, and you'll either find that I make you laugh or I don't. And if I don't, you can unsubscribe.
I love that. If they don't laugh, hit the road.
Yeah.
And I'll let others who are listening know that every Tuesday, I'm sorry, not every Tuesday, the second Tuesday of every month, I run the More Clients Roundtable. If you are interested in learning more about attending a roundtable where you can figure out how to get more clients, you can head on over to bravebydesign.net/events, where all the details are listed. Kathryn, thank you so much for joining us on this creative conversation.
Thanks for having me.